This is the Lowdown with Bravemumma, a community to hear you, see you, and support you on your journey living with pelvic organ prolapse. Hi, my name is Steph Thompson. I am your host, and today I have a really special invitation for you. I am inviting you to come to this conversation with a really open mind, because today we are going to be discussing the question, can you heal your prolapse naturally? All right, so confession time. This is probably the 10th attempt I've actually had at trying to record this episode for you. And I think it's because I'm so green. I'm so new at this. I don't really know in terms of how to express it in a way that is going to be impactful for you. But what I will do is show up in my full vulnerability and share with you where I'm at on this journey right now. Because I think for you too, by the end of this episode, if I can just plant a little seed of thought and allow you to be curious about your own prolapse journey, then our job is done. So I want to share a story with you. I think this really stems from our episode last week. We got some really good feedback from about halfway through the show when we talked about the plot twist. I was away on a family trip and then something unexpected happened and I had this mind shift, like this mindset shift about my prolapse. I didn't know what was happening at the time. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't trying to do it. It just kind of happened. And if you haven't listened to it, you can go back now. I think it's at about 6 minutes in, we talk about the plot twist. So today, we're just going to unpack it a little bit further. And I think it's really important to start here. When we are referring to healing prolapse today, we are not talking about fixing. Fixing and healing are two very, very different things. For anyone who is new on this journey, just like me, you wanted to fix your prolapse. You wanted to reverse the symptoms. You wanted it to go back where it's meant to go. You wanted to live the life as you knew it before prolapse. That's probably what we would consider fixing. Healing is something very different. Healing has an acceptance piece, an understanding piece, and a feeling of being okay, even though your physical self is much the same. To illustrate this a little bit better, let's look at it in terms of a spectrum. And at this very far end, commonly when you go to your doctor and they diagnose you with prolapse, they say, okay, straight to surgery. That's like the option to fix. If you don't want to go down that path of surgery, the next option they give you to fix is a pessary or multiple pessaries. And if that doesn't work for you, then the next option they provide you with is pelvic floor physiotherapy, maybe a combination of all of those things. But that's usually on the spectrum, the fixing side. When we are talking about naturally healing today, I'm going to be referring to things like acupuncture, Chinese herbs and medicines, breath work and meditation. And I'm sure that there's so much more in there, but these are just the ones that I myself had experience with. So on this healing journey, I want to start by sharing a bit of a story with you. I'm going to say it was about a year ago. As I do, researching the prolapse space as much as I can, I stumbled across this ebook. And I think even in the title, it has something about healing prolapse naturally. To just give you a bit of insight, my mindset at that point in time, a year ago even, was like, you can't heal prolapse naturally. You can't heal prolapse by meditating it away. That's a load of rubbish. But I purchased the book and read it because I'm also open to everything, right? No stone unturned is what we say here. We look at everything, we try everything, and then we share everything that we learn. And so reading this book, I was still a bit like, this sounds a bit woo-woo, a bit magic dust to me, just trying to think it away, all of those things. And I think even by the end of it, I was like, but the author must not have the same level of prolapse that I've got. And she certainly couldn't have bilateral avulsions like I've got. And to be fair, like we know that no two vaginas are the same, and therefore no two prolapses are the same. So the author's intention wasn't to be that that book can be for everyone, but for the people who are interested and curious, to be able to read on how she was able to do it is actually a really good thing. Now, I think it was about halfway through our episode last week where we talked about the plot twist when I was away on a family trip, that something phenomenal happened to me. I have spent the last 7 years trying to fix my prolapse by doing. So I couldn't change the physical symptoms. I wasn't able to have surgery. I'm not a good candidate for it. So I created this podcast. So I created the community. So I wrote the book, and then we wrote the second book. And so I just was doing. And in that process, I can now see I was not feeling. I was just hardened. And by doing all of those things, I felt at the time, oh, this is good. Yeah, we're helping people. That's really good. And other people can have this information. Yeah, that's really good. But when you look deeper within yourself and you realize, I am just as hard as a rock. I'm just surviving. I'm actually doing the duck underwater, smiling above, but underneath I'm doing this. And it was only just very recently that I happened to stumble across a post on Instagram from an amazing artist called Steph. And I had that quick connection. Oh, Steph and Steph. And I saw this post, and I'm going to share it in the show notes because it was just like, oh, wow. It said something along the lines of, to heal, you have to allow yourself to feel. I'm going to say that again. To heal, you have to allow yourself to feel. And when I looked back at all the things that I was doing, and how much it made me just solid, I realized I wasn't actually allowing myself to feel in the moment. I wasn't giving myself permission to express to people that I feel disappointment, I feel heartbroken, I feel sad, I feel all of those things that made me hate Prolapse so much. And by not saying it and just putting on this front, I don't think I was allowing myself to truly heal. I've shared very openly in this space that I have seen expert professional psychologists to help with my mental health in accepting prolapse. And yes, it was helpful. However, I feel like that's one level. And then healing is the next level. And by healing, I'm talking about how you think and how you feel about something that you have zero control over. I feel like I've got very little control over my prolapse symptoms. Some days they just spring up and go, here we are. We're like really angry. We're going to aggravate you so much today. And it doesn't matter that I have a set routine of Pilates reformer in the morning and I eat well and I do all of those things and I've stopped alcohol and I really try hard. Sometimes they just show up unexpected and it's really frustrating. The healing part of this now, and this is where I'm going to ask you to bear with me because I'm still processing it at the same time, is to recognize that feeling. Oh, here they are. I'm in the middle of doing something and I feel like everything is falling out from underneath me. I actually feel like the rug is being pulled out from underneath me because the only way to alleviate my pain right now is to lay down. When that takes you by surprise and you can't lay down in the middle of the supermarket and you can't lay down in the middle of a restaurant, it makes you feel really, really aggravated because you have no control. You have no choice. I think the healing piece for me now is that huge acceptance. Okay, I can't lay down in the middle of the supermarket right now, but what can I do? So this is that healing bit. What can I do right now to help me with these physical symptoms? One of those things I'm trialing is breath work, is by actually stopping and just taking a breath and taking a minute to quiet your mind of going, ouch, this hurts, everything's falling out. I'm going to describe it as my whole rear end is throbbing, all of those things. How am I going to get to the car? So by doing some simple breath work, it allows that quietness to come down, and then you're able to think straight and say to yourself, okay, you can either do this. Options are, this has actually happened. This is why I'm describing it this way. Your options are drop your shopping trolley, walk out and go home and shop online or do something else or get someone to help you, or take what you have right now, check out, go home and get the rest later. Or continue, push past that pain barrier because you're here anyway, finish doing what you're doing, go home and rest. Either of those three options are giving you a much more, what do we call it? Like a different perspective rather than saying, oh my God, I hate this body. I'm so frustrated. I can't even feed my family. I can't even do this. And you can see that type of language really snowballs into then throwing you into a world of anger and hardness and frustration, and then you can't move forward. I hope by just lifting the lid a little bit on this, that we get to continue this conversation. Because like I said at the very beginning, this is all very new to me as well. This is exactly why I have invited next week on the show two I'm going to call them experts in this prolapse space, because I certainly have looked up to them for this whole entire 7 years, and I'm sure you have too. But they're going to come on the show and talk about their experience with healing prolapse and probably unpack the word natural a little bit more as well. And so they're going to come on and share that experience with us, which I think is going to be really helpful. It won't end there though. I do know that one of our prolapsed community members is also sharing free breath work classes for different time zones around the globe. I'm going to put a link there because anything that is free, I would say go and trial it. Go and see if it works for you. It may not be for you. I don't think this is for everyone. I don't think if I'm saying this to you now and you're feeling quite agitated by saying you can heal your prolapse naturally, I hear you. I get you. I was you, and I'm probably still am you to some extent. But just opening this door to what healing can look like and how it can feel, I'm really curious. Having a little taste of it, I want more of it. So we want to bring you more of it as well. Stay tuned until next week, and bye for now.